Hey, it's 9:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but I clocked at 7 minutes fast out here in a super cool little minivan. Yeah. And, still waiting to see what's going to happen with my life. I didn't do anything to spread those videos around. Those of you who go to the Motuphi channel have seen them, and those of you who didn't know to look there or whatever, and didn't see them, you see. And that's how it's going to get, where it's like I'm just putting them up on one channel, and then I'm going to go to the blog with it. I don't know if I'm going to make the blog private or not. I'm going to make it another triple R blog, Rancid, Race, Reciprocity, you know. Well, you know, I've been out and about, like today, for example, riding little buses out, talking to people and shit. And I meet women, you know. And I have my little dog with me, so they like to talk to me about the dog or whatever. And I get to see the ghoulish, you know, nature of women now. It's like damn, yo. I mean, you can get past their physical flaws, but you can't get past the ugliness of the spirit, you know. And not having nothing to say, but they want to dominate the conversation. Shit like that. So if I gotta put up with something like that, I might as well just, you know, go in the parking lot pimping and get me a hoe, you know, if that's all the mentality I'm gonna find to, you know, interact with. See, it's like this race, it wants to begrudge me in existence, animals in existence, other good guys like me, you know. There's no woman for me, you see. And I actually need one, a woman with a driver's license who, like, you know, is hungry for my dick. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, I guess that's what I need right now. And I'm not going to find it in this area, I guess. You know, it's too white. Oh, did I say that last part out loud? Yeah. That's just what it is, though. You know, there's no white people that want me around and, you know, can appreciate me. So, I don't know. Kind of feel like they deserve the reciprocity, you know? But I'm watching it. I'm watching as there's entities who they have decided that they begrudge them in existence now. They want them to die off, you know, just fucking disappear, get the fuck off their world, you know, out of their world, that mentality. It's like, and they for real are going to, within the next year, do some shit. I mean, you know, y'all seen the videos. If you watch like Monograph, you saw the videos that he connected from his live streams in the little chat where he's got the little links popping up. You saw the video where the woman admitted that they didn't infect enough of the population with their weaponized thing they're calling a virus. You see, so they intend to. It was kind of like a test run because, you know, they're you know, got these Star Trek references, you know, Operation Warp Speed, whatever, to hurry up and create a bunch of vaccines to cover an entire nation. So it's like, well, I'll probably be dead before all that kicks in anyway. I mean, you know, ultimately I see it like this: if God can't, you know, put somebody in my life that's going to make me able to continue. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't continue on my own. And he's got no other choice but to show me mercy and to kill me off. So yeah, I'm looking to die. You know, oh, you should be looking for the girl now. You know, that's too much of looking for a needle in a haystack, man. You know, it's like the universe would have to manifest that. She would just have to, you know, get in my life, not take no for an answer. That mentality, because I'm very standoffish now, and you know, I don't take hints. I don't signals and all this shit's lost on me. Right now, I'm like, I've got my head up my own ass, worrying about my own world and the crumbling of it, and, you know, what world I'm going to get thrust into from here. You know, it's like I have this constant stress it's just bombarding my chest, man. And I can feel it, you know, with the shit in my chest is connected to my head. And I can feel it. When I'm feeling it in my chest, I'm feeling it in my head, too, you know. And I can't do shit about it because, well, they got their DNR orders, and they've got their orders of, you know, everybody's to be diagnosed with this. So, well, there you go. Well, I've got a heart condition. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got everything to do with stent and complications from it. I'm convinced of that. I'm convinced I have bleeding because, well, I have the loss of energy, man. Like I have, you know, the blood shit happening again. So, you know, I look at this, you know, Rancid race, and it's like, you know, I'm going to be forced into a different lifestyle soon, possibly. And I'm going to go more full-blown transgender. All my videos, you'll be able to see me and I'll be dressed out. And we're going to engage in dark rituals and dark matter rituals, and possibly even communions. You know, if the desire to participate is there. And you know, it's like we're going to brighten up the world with, you know, our dark energy, since those who are responsible for being the light have doused their light. You see, I liken this to the story. I don't know why, because, you know, if y'all can try to wrap your mind around it if you want, but I liken it to the story of the virgins waiting for the groomsmen. And they, you know, were responsible for keeping oil in their lamps and keeping their wicks trim. Well, one of the bitches was neglectful, and actually a couple of them were, and they let their lamps get low and their wicks get all untrimmed. So at the last minute, when a groomsman was coming, they're trimming their wicks, and they noticed they ain't got enough oil. So then they want to bum some oil from the other bitches who have oil, but they have enough to fill their lamps. You see, they kept their lamps full. They didn't get extra for somebody else's lamps. And so they were fucked when the groomsman came. They didn't have oil for their lamps, so they couldn't light their countenance for the groomsman to consider them, you see. It's one of them weird traditions that's recorded as a parable by, I think it was Christ who told it, but it may not have been him, but I'm pretty sure it was him. Y'all can look it up and see for yourself. That's the glory of all this search engine shit, is I don't have to reference anymore. You can reference with key phrases. Just reference, and you can see I ain't lying. I don't lie. You know, I don't have no reason to. What am I going to gain from it? You know, I don't got no pit somewhere where I'm collecting souls, yo. Now, in the time loops in the future, Bill Gates and Trump and all these people who are pro-lockdown and pro-get this thing going, you know, and get this in people's bodies. all these entities are already in the time loops in the future, getting time looped as the entities that they murdered and that they wanted to murder. You know, it's like they're being judged for their thoughts. They were recorded with their non-tamperable, non-deletable spirit memory. You know, like Goblin Gates. You know, that's a good name for him because he's like a goblin, you know. It's like they think that they're getting away with something. You know, attacking God's people. They didn't make sure that they separated them, you know, from the rest of those that they're going to attack. So they kind of fuck themselves, and then they don't know what to look for. It's like God's people ain't like, you know, traditional religionists. They're not Muslims and Christians and shit, you know. Those entities aren't really God's people. You know what I'm saying? It's like they have a form of godliness, but deny the power thereof, you see. That's also a prophecy about the transhumanism. It's weird that I just said that. Because of their agenda, you know, to make people transhuman. Where, you know, it's like there is entities here that are going to make sure that, like, all these entities who are creating this thing to put into people, that them and their families are going to get it first, or they're going to be lumped in with those who get it. They will get it. So it's like, if it's poison, they're poisoning themselves. Plus, you know, in the time loops, they're poisoning themselves repeatedly, over and over and over again. Depending on how much pain each entity endured, that's how many times you get time looped as that entity. Then they get spiritually executed. The restore point happens, and in the future, in the next timeline, which is happening right now, right next to us, they're not even there. There is no Bill Gates. There's no Rockefellers. There's none of these freaks who are rich and famous and powerful. There's no sports figures. There's nobody retarded enough to be entertained by sports or dramas, you know. There's nobody who's dumb enough to be entertained by what's passing from music on the radio now, you know. And you see, there's no internet or streaming sites. There's no computers. There's none of this distraction shit. People are productive. There's no homeless animals because people are, you know, only the good people graduated. Those who care about shit. There's no raped world. Nobody stole the coolant, aka the oil, out of the ground and sold it as if it's their own. And, you know, unbalanced the world and fucked with the atmosphere and fucked with the, you know, the rotation of the world and with its, you know, its orbit around the sun and shit. You know, just fucked with all that shit, man. You know, parasites who destroy their own host. Controlled by Satan, aka the ancient artificial intelligence, which is enemy to Christ, the clone of Yah, and Lucifer, who often gets accused of being Satan. You see? So y'all know that Lucifer is not here. He's coming back pretending to be Christ for a growing season. And that they're trying to do something here that's going to draw him here to, because, well, all entities in power are part of this now, even Putin. So Putin's toxic, bought off, whatever, just like the rest of them. All these entities in power are guilty of some kind of pedophilic shit or something, and they're owned by the people who have the proof that they did it. And that's why they're doing it. That's why they're down with murdering you, using their power to get you killed. You see? Mass murder. Because, well, they're all guilty of something, and it can come out if they won't kill you. So it's like, all right, now we have to have the supernatural entity come to rescue the world from Bill Gates and all of his minions, all of his pedophilic minions, which is everybody in power who is pro do this, this, you know, put the stuff in your arm, you know what I'm saying? Put the stuff in your body. Anybody that's pro do that, there's some kind of secret that they're guilty of that they don't want you to know about. So that's why they're doing it, is just to keep their secret. But their secret is already out in the time loops, and it's taught about in the next timeline as entities who were fictional, because, well, they're not even real. Alright, y'all, it's 9:51 now by the clock. It's 7 minutes fast. So it's a few minutes later. I just felt like there was... I cut it off due to time instead of due to exhaustion of what the Spirit had to say. And I have to stop doing that, because then that robs y'all right when the flow starts. Which sometimes it's right when the video is supposed to stop if I'm going to put it on the other channel, to which I was. Now I'm going to put it together in the Movie Maker, and however long it is how long it is. You know? Because, well, some stuff is going to be happening that they're already testing, and they've already proven that they can get people to fulfill the negative prophecies. Okay, like, because they really did get people to believe that this shit is real. And they really did get people to, like, you know, they're calling the police because their neighbor's going to the store and shit like that, you know. Calling the police on people who aren't wearing masks. You know, just a bunch of weird little tattletale child shit, you know. And there's the prophecy about, well, your loved ones are going to betray you when you become an outlaw. And what do I mean by that? Well, soon it will be illegal to be human. So you will be an outlaw if you declined to be transhuman, which you can decline. You can't refuse. If you refuse, that's a different story. You have to decline it. On my Twitter page is actually there's a thing, and I actually copied the picture and put it on my shit in case the other thing disappeared. So it's there twice. You should go to my Twitter page, Vincent Ciofani, and look at it. It tells you how to decline this when they show up, without having them get all irate and crazed and, you know, arrest you and wanna make you take it anyway, or take you off to a family fun camp, you know. We're here in a pretty crazed world right now. In a way, you know, the entities who are perpetuating this, they kind of have the right idea. That, you know, so many humans are just, they're like rancid, toxic waste, you know, useless eaters. You know, they don't, you know, so many of them now don't even produce. I'm not producing anything. You know, I'm one of them entities now. But yeah, so many are not doing anything to produce anything marketable, you know. So they're like drains on society. Not busy doing something that benefits society, the community, you know. I mean, not doing anything. You have entities who are valuable compared to us because, well, they're doing stuff. They have marketable services to offer. They have products to that they produce to, you know, offer. While we're, so many of us, which is, the percentage is really huge, man. You'd be surprised how small the percentages of people who are carrying the rest of the world. Okay, they're carrying everybody else. All the people who are working right now, they're carrying everybody who's not working. People like me, they're carrying me. You see, it's embarrassing to be alive like this, but you know, there's entities who they can't even blush because they're too stupid to understand that it's an embarrassing thing to be carried. Okay, I mean, to be temporarily carried because you need to be carried is one thing, but to just be carried, that's just your life. You know, you just gonna go get carried. Fuck that. They can do the work. You just gonna do whatever you want, play video games, whatever. You know, it's like shit, man. If we all bail like that, nothing will get done. There won't be no food. There won't be no fucking grass getting cut. There won't be no garbage getting picked up. Nothing that's done that needs to be done. All the important little shit that we all take for granted. So they kind of got the right idea that, you know, the entities who are not productive should go. I kind of do agree with that. If only they were smart enough in their great smart intelligence to only target the entities that, you know, that's what they are. And they, instead of it being the old people who, okay, they already put in their time and they did work, you know. Everything you see is because of them old people, okay? It's like, understand that. And stop being unappreciative like the rich white devil that fucking wants to do this to you, right? But it's like they should instead go for all the young motherfuckers, all these wannabe gangsters and shit. Wannabe rap heroes. They won't do nothing. You can't get them to do nothing. They don't know the value of hard work. You know, they don't know the glorious feeling of it, you see. And of getting paid because you did something that, you know, was beneficial, you see. Then they never get to know that. Nobody instilled that into them, you know, proper work ethic and shit. Their role models were toxic little bitch bugs who expect to get carried, okay? They're famous, but they don't really have any reason to be. They don't have anything to offer. They're, you know, all but talentless, the majority of them. And it's like, shit, okay? They're out there because they were put out there. They were planted out there to, you know, accomplish a certain thing with their fame. And anybody who doesn't, you know, abide by that doesn't stay famous, even if by some fluke they get famous, okay? So it's like they control fame. Understand that. Why do you think you have people that are valueless, totally valueless, good for nothing? I mean, absolutely nothing. You can't even fuck them. They're so rancid. You know, why do you think they have reality show stars? You know, like the Jenners. There's nothing nastier to me than the name Jenner. You know, these Kylie Jenners and all these other Jenners. It's like, you know, that's just nasty shit. I couldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, man. It's like, stay the fuck back. Your billions can't buy you fucking next to my side, okay? That's just where I'm at with that. You know, look at you. Look at what your fucking fans and those who follow you do. They don't do anything good. There's nothing benefiting from you know, these nasty, rancid, fucking toxic fucking bitches being famous, man. You know, all it does is make shit worse. You know, some time ago when they first came out with reality shows, a dude busted into a facility. I don't know if it was like a, you know, one of them flags, or if it was, you know, it really happened. You know, I don't know if like he was a crisis, or you know, somebody that's just portraying a role, you know, or if it was real. But I remember the story, and I think he died. I'm pretty sure that he got killed. Perpetuating it, where, you know, he busted into the place, and you know, the production place or whatever, and it's like, hey, you know, his statement with that act was, you know, reality shows are destroying the world. They're destroying the minds of the people who watch them. And he was right. Way back then, it was like 30 years ago. And it really is sad when, you know, they've got so many people following them, and they do evil, toxic shit instead of good shit. Like, I still remember the situation, and that's why he's in the future in the time loops, getting time looped as little dogs who got sick because he poisoned little dogs to make them shit on the floor because he didn't get his way with some of the people he was staying with. You remember the other bitch, you want to smush? It's like, just ruin sex for me, you know? Nasty. So it's like, it's like, this is what we have for, you know, a species. So something needs to be done about it. You know, try and see it from the perspective of those who are in power. That, hey, you know, we have species of self-serving, good-for-nothing, opinionated, incredibly stupid, fucking valueless fucking people. This is garbage, okay? So few entities are redeemable now. So few. It's like they're just, the old people are mean old buzzards who hate animals and they hate their neighbors. Fucking, it's like, young people are fucking retarded as fuck. It's like shit. There's just nothing, man. There's so few normal people left. And you feel so sorry for them, that they gotta, interact with all this garbage, all this dumb shit, walking around looking down at little phones all the time. It's like, come on, man, you're out in the world, okay? Stop for a minute, do your text, put the shit back in your pocket, go on about your fucking day. Sitting there fucking, you're all out in the world looking down. You're missing the world. Stupid. That's exactly what they want you to do. Stupid. Programmed to ignore the world around you. Programmed to buy whatever they want and to like whatever they want you to like. You see? K-pop? Sure, yeah, I like that. Oh, K-drama? Oh, yes, I can't understand a word of it, but I'll still sit there through it. It's retarded as fuck. It's like you get past that Ultraman bullshit when you're like fucking what? 9 years old? And you got bitches in their 30s watching that shit. It's like, hey, it's like Ultraman. You ever watch Ultraman? You ever watch Giant Robot? Johnny Sacco and his Giant Robot? Watch that shit. And then you'll see how ridiculous you look, okay? Fucking damn. Damn. Because it's the same shit. It's just, with a different color, okay? That's all it is. It's from a different spot with a different color, but it's the same bullshit. Soap opera bullshit. There's no soap operas in the next timeline. What the fuck? Do you know that fucking how many demons enter a fucking house when fucking soap opera's playing in it? Imagine these fucking people. They have fucking like my granny had multiple TVs with their stories on in every fucking room. So it's like she had the bedroom TV had one story on, and she could walk out of her bedroom into the kitchen, and she had a TV with another story on, so she could keep up with two stories if she was up doing shit without touching the TV. If she's laying in bed, she'll just click back and forth between the two stories. But man, it just kept, evil up in the house. It's like anybody who watches those, evil used to permeate the house. And I remember when I was a teenager watching shit like General Hospital, shit like that. And that put evil in the house that, it actually did externally motivate us to do evil shit that we probably would not have done had we not been exposed to it. Oh, it's just an innocent soap opera on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Why is your kid watching that instead of a cartoon? What the fuck happened? Oh, well, you got Luke raping Laura for one. You got everything on, the various shows is competing for who can be the most sexualized and, get away with, how much sexualization they're putting on TV, you see? So it's like, yeah, you got little kids watching rape, and then watching a woman keep the secret because, from her husband, Scotty, for those of you who are hip to the story. It's like you watch them glamorize it. They made a song out of it and shit. Look at Laura, it's like, goddamn, this motherfucker raped the bitch and then she got turned out to a rapist. Happens in the ghetto all the time. It's not a fucking glamorizing fucking thing, stupid. It's actually kind of sick and twisted. Like that thing when somebody kidnaps somebody and then the victim gets attached to the kidnapper. It's kind of like that, okay? It's pretty fucked up psychological bullshit that we witnessed as little kids. And nobody stopped us from watching this shit either, man. It's like, nobody walked in, no adult, said, hey, man, how come you ain't watching cartoons, little kids? How come you sitting there watching this rape bullshit? You see what I'm saying? Nobody said shit. They just walk in the room and sit down and watch the shit with us. Huh? It's like, wow, you know, now if I was one of the adults and I walked into a room with little kids mesmerized by a soap opera, I'd be like, okay, there's some kind of demonic shit happening up in here. Look at these little kids watching this adult show when cartoons is on. Okay, this is back when it was good cartoons, man. It's like, you know, there's cartoons on. Why ain't y'all watching none of them good ass cartoons? Y'all know in the future they ain't gonna have no good cartoons. They're gonna be cartoons that program people to dumb, retarded behavior, like SpongeBob SquarePants and all this other dumb shit. You know, it's like farmers that supposedly love their animals while they're trampling on their animals. It's okay, yeah, that's a farmer who loves his sheep, you know, bouncing on the sheep's heads. You know, it's like the ground is right there next to the sheep. You could walk on that shit, yo. You see? Little homeless cat's just blasted up out of here. I don't know if he ate or not. If he came up and heard me talking, decided, I don't think me talking do anything to scare him away, though. So we got these guys are going to bring about the end of the world because, well, 6 months after Lucifer gets here, imitating Christ to stand as buffer between Christ and Satan, aka the ancient AI, for a third and final time. Since this thing got utilized as a spirit scan. Then there'll be like a growing season later, which is what, 3 to 6 months? I don't know. Whatever it took to grow crops back then, you see. Growing season later, we got the crash point by fire, Armageddon. Okay, so Armageddon is getting brought on because some motherfuckers wanna do the right thing by the productive population. Because what has gotten out of hand, you got fucking, for generations, the welfare class has been popping out babies just to collect a bigger welfare check. Okay? Welfare queens, that shit is real. Those bitches do pop out babies they don't care about. They grow up to be little fucking ghetto monsters. They torture animals, they torture people, they rape, they steal, they carjack, they murder. You know, it's like they don't have no, they're like morally bankrupt. They don't have no standards, man. You know, no human standards. These bitches pop these fucking little monsters out, these little ghetto monsters out for a bigger welfare check. And won't raise them right. Let the media raise them. The church, sports figures. Then you end up with this garbage. Instead of a doctor or a lawyer or a garbage man or somebody who works at McDonald's, your kid's a thug. He's stealing and dealing dope and pimping, you know. I mean, won't do anything to try and do anything right. Won't even try. You know, there's so many motherfuckers that get out of the ghetto just by work. They go work. And that's how they get out. They work. And sometimes the motherfuckers in the ghetto will fight against that. They'll see somebody working and they'll try and stop them from prospering so that they can get away. So they'll vandalize their car, steal it. You know, all kinds of weird shit. Just, you know, totally like try to afflict them. Like motherfuckers in prison, when a motherfucker gets a parole, they'll try and get him in trouble so that he can't get out. Start a fight with him or some shit, you know. Some other dumb shit was like that in the ghetto. You don't believe me? Tayshana Clark. Google that. Or no, Tayshana Murphy, I'm sorry. Tayshana Murphy. I think it was in Green, I'm not sure. But anyway, she got a scholarship to get up out of the ghetto. So she got shot up in her building. She never made it up out the ghetto. Something got, commandeered somebody to shoot her, kill her. One of them little ghetto monsters killed her. She got a scholarship with her basketball skills. She was going to get up out the ghetto and It's kind of a sad story that right before she was going to leave, she got killed. Let's wait here a second. And we're back. See, it takes a couple seconds to click back on. So yeah, Ciofani Murphy is a good example. You notice how the story is totally gone and dead now, but there's entities in the time loops enduring her fate repeatedly. Those who did it and those who facilitated it. Okay, and it's a little girl, Raven, a little mixed race girl. She was like 5 or 6 years old, pretty little kid. Somebody took her and raped her, and they raped her so bad they killed her. And then to get rid of the evidence, they burned her body up. It's like, yeah, I forgot her last name, but that's one of the instances of, you see. And she came from a family that's like all the families they were surrounded with, you see. So it's like, it's not like a case where somebody productive got took out, or somebody that was trying to do something to get up out the ghetto got took out by somebody ghetto, you know. But she was just a little kid, so who knows what she could have grew up to be, you see. We'll never know now in this timeline. She might be something important in the next timeline, though. Because, well, those who killed her, raped her and killed her, and those who sold her off for some dope, they don't get born after they get time looped as her, so they never perpetuate it. So there you go. Raven's alive in the next timeline. So is Ciofani Murphy. I'm pretty sure it's Murphy. And there was another person I was going to mention. That's a completely different story. And, you know, it's like, okay, those who seem like they're productive, but they're not. Like ex-football stars who become mayors, like of a city like Detroit. You got a weird name like Kwame, you know? And they do all kinds of weird illegal shit. Like they close down the island at night, Belle Isle, so that they can have these lewd fucking parties, you know, without being scrutinized, anybody knowing anything about it. You know, taking these little wards of the state juvenile girls and feminine boys, taking them to the island and gang raping them and shit. And some of them they actually tortured to death and shit. And then they were doing some dumb shit at or talking shit at one of the parties at the Manugian Mansion, which is where, you know, the mayor lives, who's the mayor of Detroit. And Tamara Green, she was a dancer. And I don't know if she was working as a dancer the night that she, you know, witnessed this shit, or if she was working like as a caterer, with somebody as a caterer, okay, because there was also that angle. But she was there, and then she was talking shit about the shit, and about the little juveniles, you know, the shit that was happening, and the cover-ups and shit, and, you know, involving their military, army, Gestapo, mercenary police, you know, police force, you know, because like they had a lot of crooked cops that would do anything, you know. They'd have them do the stuff with the kids too, so that like they couldn't talk shit, they were just as guilty, and they'd take pictures of it and film it to make sure that their goons were obedient. It's like, okay, well, if you Google this, Tamara Green, with an E at the end, Green, Greene, you might still find this story about how she was killed in a car, sitting in her neighborhood with somebody, I think it was her brother or boyfriend or some shit. Yeah, somebody suicided her up real quick, to shut her up because she was talking shit. And it got back to those that she was talking about. So, yeah, there's been a lot of shit like that. I remember going with an Indian friend of mine named Darren. Darren Chavez, I think was his name. But we would get drunk and go cruising in the middle of the night down to like the foot of Altar and shit and Belle Isle and shit. And we went down to the foot of Altar and we parked and we walked the water and skirted this fence that jutted out over the water and went past this trailer park. We could have just went the other way. I don't know why we didn't. But we went that way like some drunk fucking kids, and we got all the way over to the property of what used to be an insane asylum, you know, and we went in there and it was just like you could feel the demonic energy. It felt haunted, man. And, you know, it was dilapidated. You know, people been in there shooting up and vandalizing the place, spray painting all over shit. So it was pretty fucked up. But I still remember you could feel the spiritual energy from the suffering that had happened there. The suffering of the theoretically innocent, because, well, those of us who are mentally handicapped, theoretically, we're innocent, you know? Like, I don't have any grand illusions that I'm not mentally handicapped. I know that I am. People don't like me because of it, you see? But, you know, that's because there's so few people who could see the benefits of it. That, you know, my mental handicap and the obligation, and it's like, hey, I make a great sex partner, either as a male or as a female. You know, and I'm, you know, attractive in a sensual way as a female, you know, not in like, you know, oh, beautiful, pretty way, but like, you know, as that sex partner that you don't want nobody to know you're fucking that bitch in the neighborhood, you know, where she's got this sexy way about her, you know, yeah. And, you know, you find out later that everybody felt the same way about her, so everybody was fucking her or trying to. Yeah, a lot of lewd shit has happened that I've been like up close on. I remember being a little kid, staying the night with people, and the older guys would rape the younger guys that slept in the beds with them once they fell asleep. The younger guys would just wake up with the older guys' big dicks in their butts, you know, getting fucked by them. And this would cause some of the younger guys to pee in the bed. For those of you who don't know, some kids who pee in the bed, they pee in the bed because of the aggravation to the prostate. And it would do you good just to take a peek between their butt cheeks and make sure that it's not bruised or looks like, you know, a butthole that somebody has been putting something in, like fingers, a fist, or a dick, or a dildo, or a pickle, or a cucumber, or anything else like that, you know. And if it's bruised up and looks like a vagina, well, okay, that's why your kid's pissed in the bed. Somebody's fucking the shit out of them, all right? So it's like, yeah, you know, and if somebody had bothered to do that with me, you know, my mom wouldn't have known what she was looking at anyway. She would have just thought I had you must have fell down on the seat of your bike or on the bar of your bike wrong, and you bruised your butthole. Look at that, you know? I mean, she wouldn't know what she was looking at, you know? The average woman probably doesn't, you know, especially Christian women. But, you know, a hoe does, you know, a bitch who she's seen, you know, like her own butthole to changing it, and you know, some of, like, you know, the women that she rolls with, that she be doing shit with, she's seen And she knows. So if she saw that on a little kid, she'd be horrified. She'd be, oh my God, who's been fucking this? You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's where that street knowledge comes in handy. I mean, because, all right, when I was a kid, 3 out of 5 kids were molested. How many are getting fucked now? You see? Yeah. They program little kids to wanna do it, to wanna grow up fast, not wanna be children anymore, not wanna hopscotch, jump rope, go play at the park, none of that shit. They just wanna go straight to adulthood and shit, and it's like, that's pretty perverse because, well, there's plenty of time for that fucking slavery once you get older, You only get to be a kid once. Of course, some people stay kids all their lives and they stay living with their parents and shit. They don't ever venture out into the world and try to survive on their own, so they don't really have a clue what it's like to survive. Then they judge everything they see like they've got some kind of clue. No, you don't, kid. You don't work. You don't have bills that if they don't get paid, you're not gonna have shit. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to stock your own refrigerator. You don't have to supply your own shit, for your hobbies or your side business or whatever it is you're trying to do, to succeed at. You don't have to do none of that. All you have to do is, be a judgmental, retarded fucking little bitch who fucking watches too much fucking TV and, listens to too much mainstream music. And therefore, it's easy for them to use your Twitter feed. Because, well, whatever they want you to tweet, that's what you tweet. And then, and maybe it's good to, some people have decided they're going to make this shit private where only their followers can see it. Because, well, you're supposed to be an underground musician. And you're promoting the mainstream like a retard. Dumb shit. There's other underground musicians you could lift up all around you. And, your brothers and sisters, it's like you're letting them down, helping trample them with fucking garbage. Garbage written by 2 white boys over in the UK and Britain or somewhere. Like they can't just translate it to their own language. Dear, 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 dear. It's like, shit, man. What was that called? The millennial moan that they put in all these little female music artists' songs. There's this little stop break in the song where it's kind of like drop music has the drop. Well, all this pop music had this little millennial moan or some shit. I think Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, all of them did it. They have songs where they all did it. There's that little breakdown, the millennial moan. And these songs ended up being hits because little girls like to do this little millennial moan with these bitches. And it's like it's supposed to be a sexual thing, but you've heard it in songs now from little sexualized children. So it's like if somebody actually imitated that while you were fucking them, your dick would probably shrivel up, because the connotation, the association to the adolescence, the sexualized adolescence where it's like there's no innocence left. I was one of them sexualized kids. So I know what monsters we can be. Once there's no more innocence, you see. And once you see just how much people can get away with if others will keep their secret, just don't tell. Then they teach you to go, contaminate a whole generation of, people so that, the grooming has been done for them. You know what I'm saying? Kind of in a way. and it makes them easier targets. You see, that's why you have to watch when a kid has been sexualized, that you don't let that kid in private around other kids. You don't let them kids be around that kid, because they're going to be, like enamored by it, that this kid has done stuff, and they're going to want to know, and the kid's going to want to brag, and try to normalize the behavior that, hey, it's normal, this stuff that they did with this adult, it's just normal behavior that, all us kids should do it. We should all engage in it. It's fun. It gives you weird tingly feelings, and it hurts, but then it feels good, and stuff like that. It's like, all this weird shit. It's fun, and you see, it's like that's how it happens. It's just from the curiosity, and then the curiosity carries off further, and they've managed to take things past the curiosity stage with kids, and it's just like it's all over the internet, especially like on 4chan. The adult gifs, they're not adult gifs, some of them, man. It's like some of them are they're like transgender boys who are like they can't be any more than 14, 15 years old, who already have titties, they already have hormones, they have female asses, and they're riding giant dildos and sucking on them and shit. And it's like, then when you see their face, it's like, oh my God, I just looked at a kid, it's like, oh my God, so it's like you can't even look at shit anymore because they planted this shit everywhere. And it's like a lot of people don't know how browsers work, that, if they want to fuck with you, it's kind of like finding this little Wuhan wiggle thing in you. Your shit didn't really download it, but it's in your history, you see? And, you looked at it, and the face didn't show until you watched how many seconds of it. It's like, so there you go. You're guilty. You see? You're guilty without even realizing what you were looking at until it was too late. So it's like, yeah, they have a huge head start, this generation, on being perverted and wearing themselves out at a young age. I mean, totally wearing themselves out, where it's like, when they hit 18, you wouldn't want them as a sex partner because, well, there's nothing left to do with them, and they've wore themselves out and accustomed themselves to, giant dick. So it's like, what are you going to do, fist fuck them? What are you going to do with them? At that point where, they're that far gone. You're going to work yourself to death. You're going to end up finishing off yourself, for yourself afterwards. So what the fuck? Why even go there? It's the pussy you don't want in the neighborhood. The little white girl that got passed around to all the brothers. It's like, yeah, you ain't gonna do nothing for that little white girl now. Fucking leave that shit alone. Wear yourself out, and you're still gonna have to jack off when you're done, because, well, she can't do nothing for you, just like you can't do nothing for her. It's like it's just that far gone. Like a Hebrew woman returned back to the Israelites after getting given to the giants as a peace offering to hold them back from the border for a little while longer until King David could show up with the balls and, hey, you're not fucking no more of our women. I'll sling a slingshot at you and kill your motherfucking ass, bitch. And went out there with some fucking stones and a slingshot and killed the motherfucker, yo. He actually knocked him down with the slingshot, went and took the dude's big, giant, heavy sword and cut his head off. He used the laws of physics since he was such a frail little fucker and he could barely pick the sword up. But he got it up in the air over the guy's neck enough that when he let loose and the gravity pulled that big, heavy sword down, it chopped that giant's head off. But he had 2 brothers. So it's like 2 or 3 brothers. So there was still that to contend with. A lot of people don't know that part of the story. Yeah, that You know, there was more than the one giant, but there was the one giant that was always coming over, challenging Israel to get the cowards to give up some more pussy for them to take over and, you know, totally just destroy it. So there was a lot of that going on with God's chosen people, the Hebrew women, from a lot of different races. Like, for example, the Egyptians were a proud black race. Big dick, big black dick, uncircumcised dick. You know, a bunch of spacey warlock type motherfuckers. You know, into aliens and shit, you know, demons. And when the Hebrews, God's people, got took by the Egyptians, the women were getting fucked in their ass and down their throats by the big black cock for like 400 years. And then they started mating with the Hebrew women, diluting the races. And that's how Moses was able to be passed off as the, you know, offspring of the Pharaoh's wife, because Moses was a mixed race baby. And God didn't want, you know, his chosen people race to be diluted, because that was the race that was supposed to be pure for his test tube baby clone, Christ, to come through. So he had to stop that. So once they started, you know, fucking the women in their vaginas and spawning with them, you see. Because it used to be a thing that, you know, you sodomized just slaves. You fucked them in the ass. They weren't deserving of your seed. That was their mentality. They weren't deserving of their seed to spawn with, you see. But I guess then the Hebrew pussy just was so good, you know, that they just decided to fuck that and started fucking them in their pussy. But some of the women would have their teeth pulled out at a young age, you know, when their new teeth were growing in. After they lost their baby teeth, they'd get their teeth pulled out, because at a young age, like, I don't know, 9, 10, 11 years old, they would get, you know, the pretty ones would get, they would get submitted to the chambers of the god and the pharaoh and, you know, the various entities, and they didn't want them to have teeth, you know, because their dicks were so big, and he wanted to show their dicks in their pretty little faces. So yeah, that's what they did with a lot of these entities. And because they were in the sodomy, you know, before, if they weren't ready to fuck, they just fuck them in their ass, you see. So a lot of people don't know this stuff about, you know, the hidden history of what was happening, and, you know, why Moses got involved and how Moses got involved. You see, that for 20 years before he even got all up in there, and he murdered one of the Egyptian guard who was abusing one of his Hebrew brothers. And that's what kind of fronted off the, oh, wow, he's not really Egyptian after all. So Moses was called upon with his brother, who could speak for him because Moses stuttered, had a speech impediment, and some other issues. He was an introvert, so he couldn't like interact with people too good. As you can see, I mean, he had to murder a guy instead of just stopping him. So it's like, yeah, Moses got called upon to deliver the Hebrews. Now, when they left, some of the women ran back to the Egyptians, and God like scolded those women. You know, you ran back because of the big dick. The translation says something about grade of flesh or something like that, but it's talking about, you know, they ran back because, well, they got addicted to the big dick. They were turned out. They were turned out to getting gang fucked and all that shit. So it's like they were turned out to the ritualistic sex, you know, unto the gods and the aliens and all that shit. So and the devils. So yeah, they ran back, and that's recorded. That's a God rebuking them, you know, talking about them. There's also recorded God talking about you know, women who are smart enough to be prostitutes, as opposed to those who are stupid and they're sluts and they bring down negative energy upon themselves and their household with their sluttiness. You see that the prostitute is just an exchange of service, and if you know, they keep it like that, then they're blessed. God used the prostitute to help bring down the walls of Canaan. She held out for 40 years while the Hebrews ran around in disobedience, cowardly, waiting for the generation that was too cowardly to go across the river to die off. You see, because they just wouldn't do it. Oh, we're like grasshoppers in their sight. No, you're grasshoppers in your own sight. You see, they didn't even see you. You were spies. Yeah, but they took a land from some giants, basically with some noise. They caused the walls to crumble with noise. Okay? Frequencies, the vibration of frequencies, and God's power on those frequencies. So this frequency war has been utilized before. It brought down walls. Okay, now these entities are bringing down different kinds of walls, and they're putting up walls. Okay, like they're making the ultimate thing that's going to happen that God didn't want to happen from this transhumanism is not the control it's going to give them over you. It's the lack of his ability to reach you. You know, it's like some entities experience this just from getting tattoos and shit and piercings. It separates their physical chakra ability to connect to their spirit, and they for real don't hear from God. They don't have like that ability like a phone does to connect to the tower. They don't have that ability to be in a state of prayer without ceasing anymore. So then they can't manifest with the power of God, that's important for them to do, because they don't know who God's going to utilize or lift up. So they got to hit everybody to make sure that, you know, the entities that are going to lift up with the frequency firepower don't get up. You see? And that's part of what the censorship is about. It's not just about election tampering and making sure that they maintain control of everything by, you know, only erecting their puppets. Like, you know, some of y'all seeing now that, you know, your big hero, you thought that, you know, I even was duped by him for a while. I hated the guy before he became president, and then I liked him as president. But now you can kind of see his true colors, that hey, he's just like the rest of them. They got something over on him, and he will fast track everything they want to do instead of trying to stand against it. But if he tries to stand against it, we already see what will happen. That he actually doesn't have any power. And he'll just exemplify that even further. You know, as some judge somewhere will act like he's got more power than the President of the United States. And everybody will stand back and just like let it happen. Nobody will stand up and say, wow, that ain't right. You know? You see? So we have that where everybody standing on the sidelines is supposed to do something. You have these little events that they seem like they're staged, you know, where like, okay, the armed dudes that went into the Capitol building, all right, I think that was a show. I don't think that was real. And it was all to create the thing where they created the perception with the bots in the comments. Because, you know, all the comments were against, you know, the entities that showed up, you know, armed, you know, even though they were doing a patriotic act, they found flaws with their approach and with their behavior, and just with the fact that they did it, because, well, they're bots. And you see, this is something they figured out with Free Barabbas, Crucify Christ, when they immigrated there and infiltrated their temple and their government. Is if they stand there and scream something, and enough of them are doing it, then everybody else will join in. You see, so now they're using it. They got enough people to say, oh, la la la, and everybody else is right along with them, la la la. So now, it's going to be illegal to be human. You know, when it's illegal not to be transhuman, only outlaws will be human. We'll be in hiding. We won't have cell phones. I've got a CB. And, you know, I've been using it a lot, you know, turning it on and listening. And, you know, we're going to actually probably have to, like, bug out for real, like hide in woods and shit, you know, and learn how to survive off the land. Take crossbows with us and shit, because, you know, this thing, and they're talking about it like it's going to happen in the winter. Pray that your flight be not in the winter. It's going to be hard as fuck to survive in the winter in a bugged out situation, you see. And then you have to consider the technology they're going to use, the thermal imaging technology. So you have to have repellent blankets and sheets to put over your tent and over yourself when you're in your tent, so that, like, when they're flying over, you know, low over a wooded area where you're at, with their thermal imaging, they're not picking you up. So you see, there's a lot of preparation. I need to prepare, and it's like, you know, I'm hoping that it's going to manifest that, you know, the hotties coming into my life is going to restore my transportation abilities, my ability to be mobile, because, well, you know, my life has been reduced. I walk to the river with my dog, you know. I don't ever get out, go for a ride nowhere, do nothing like that anymore. If I take the little bus, you know, but, like, you know, I have a van. It's like, you know what I'm saying? I just need somebody with a license, because, well, I don't want to be breaking laws and shit. And, you know, if this van doesn't prove to be worthy, then I'll get something else, you see. So it's like, I'll keep us mobile if I got somebody that can drive, you know. So it's like, that's where I'm at, is I sowed the seed for it when I was younger. So I'm looking for the harvest for the young person that pop up into my life that's, like, going to keep me moving around now, you see. And then I can do this. I can get ready, because, well, I have to get ready too, just like everybody else. Because, well, we see that even if they back off this time, this isn't gone away, and they're going to come back even stronger, and they're going to be prepared. They're going to have their little sorceries of man ready, their little wizardry, and it's going to be mandatory. And those who don't do it, it's like, well, you won't be able to communicate with any of your family who did, because, well, they're going to snitch you out, you see. They're creating this thing where they want snitches to feel like they're going to get rewarded. So they started that already, to make sure that the betrayal is there. People are self-serving and you know, and they're stupid. It's like, oh, if they don't get the thing, they're dangerous. They're dangerous to themselves even. They could die. You need to tell us where they are. You see? tell us where they possibly could be. Where would they go to hide? So you can't go to any place where like any of your people that are going to take this have gone with you, because, well, they might be, oh, well, as a kid we went here, you know, and you see, so you're there hiding and they know right to go right there and look for you. So, and then you kind of got to find a place where somebody else didn't as a kid, you know, because, well, maybe they went into hiding, but they were smart enough not to go to one of their childhood spots, you see. So there's a lot to consider when you're combating something like this. If you want to give them a run for their money, which, you know, you probably ain't going to outrun them, because everybody's going to get brought before the imposter Christ. Anti-translate translates as imposter, fake, phony instead of wannabe, pseudo. It's like everybody's going to get brought before him, and the end-time elect are the ones who can commit the unpardonable sin of grieving the Holy Spirit if they refuse to, while they're standing before him, to let the Holy Spirit speak through them, freestyle, without thinking anything in their head. Just let the Spirit speak through them. If they chicken out for some reason or fail to do that, that's the unpardonable sin. That's grieving of the Holy Spirit. That's what that actually is talking about. Not everybody can commit that sin. What's more unpardonable from the looks of it, on a mass scale, general scale, is to claim to be Christian and then trample underfoot the blood of Christ, to willfully sin after becoming a Christian and accepting the Holy Spirit and all that good shit. Yeah, so that seems, because then that clearly states there is no more remission of sin, you see, because where you're trampling underfoot the remission of sin with your, you know, your life, your actions. Watch it for this little empty battery thing to start blinking. It should start blinking anytime. Either way, I'm stopping it here in a second, no matter what, because we talk long enough. I don't expect a lot of you make it through to this far, even though we've talked about some interesting shit this time. You know, and it gives you some, you know, good shit to create images in your head out of. You see, stuff that maybe some of you didn't know. Stuff to Google, like Tamara Green, Tashana Murphy. You know, you can see a little bit of this Raven, burned alive, 5-6 years old, west side of Detroit. You know, it's like, you know, there was something else. This guy was flying down the road and drove his SUV really fast off of this embankment down into the freeway and flew all the way over to the other side of the freeway into the wall with his SUV and died. That entity was trying to get away from something he was seeing in his mirror, or his vehicle was commandeered, you know, because he had all the bells and whistles on it, you see. So there's like there's two possibilities there. And nobody has been able to come to a conclusion about it. They managed to like bury the story about it. But if you drive down the freeway down there in Detroit, where he flew into the wall, the bricks are still askew in the wall, which, you know, that fucking can't be safe. And there's the rubber from, you know, his bumper of his SUV still in the, you know, embedded in the concrete and the bricks and the offset bricks, the askew bricks that got pushed into the ground behind the wall. Yeah, he was in one of them big expensive SUVs. Thug, gangster, dope dealer. But they never like put that in the story, you know. They always like try to make it look like the person had some merit to their life. So they'll latch onto something they did, even if it was only for a moment that, you know, wasn't thuggish. And they'll lift that up. The one picture of them without their thug gear on. You see? Alright, y'all. I hope y'all are incredibly blessed. And that your lives are more stable than mine is. That you're not contemplating all kinds of being a different person in rebellion or just in protest, you know. All right. Good night.